Good morning, friends. Today we are going to learn about the influence of Hindi cinema, that is, socio-political impact of Bollywood and socio-political impact of Bollywood on generations and the youth. See the first part, that is introduction, impact of Bollywood on our generation. For the past 100 years, Bollywood has been one of the most dominant and distinctive features of the Indian culture. Indian cinema is one of the most influential and powerful tools to address various social issues throughout the medium of screenplay. It is the world's largest film industry in terms of the number of films produced, but not in terms of its financial returns. To satisfy the 14 million Indians who go to the cinema every day, the Indian film industry produces more than 1,000 films every year. Since its inception in 1913, film has been a vital medium for the communication of social insights and conditions while continuing to function as an important mode of entertainment for the masses. It's very intriguing to understand sometimes whether the movies are shaping the society or vice versa. But Bollywood is not a linear content driven industry. From mythology to comedy to thriller and horror, Indian cinema has been experimenting with different genres to create a successful formula that works well with audiences and makes a mark in the box office. The Indian cinema has unveiled a great deal in recent years, not limiting itself to being a source of mere entertainment, but by experimenting to stride towards showcasing social and responsible cinema. Due to such diverse topics, Bollywood is able to connect with a large variety of audience in the subcontinent as well as foreign countries. With the passage of time, cinema has evolved and left a profound impact on people's minds, and through the different dimensions of film, documentary, and advertising, cinema has now become an integral part of people's lives. They feel connected to the films and the actors who work in those films. Not only this, but movies have become a psychological stimulus that can inspire, guide, motivate, rule the mind, and even sometimes can mislead the people. The cinema is very impactful kind of entertainment which can leave an impression on the masses. The section of the people that is being the most affected and influenced by it is the youth. Bollywood deeply impacts the Indian youth not only because of the movie scenes but the profound influence of the actors and actresses of the movies on their life. Youth account for 32% of the population, and more than 15% of their population has to access to mass media. Bollywood portrays their actors and actresses in the most fascinating and mesmerizing ways in front of the youth that makes them believe that they are the perfect human beings. For some, they become the role models and even the idols. Bollywood is a multi-million dollar industry that produces a whole array of movies. Some exemplify movies like Rang De Basanti, Three Idiots, Iqbal, Chak De India, Dangal, Mary Kom, and etc. have tremendously motivated the youth to bring improvement and good spirit in their lives. These kind of movies are really interesting, knowledgeable, but unfortunately, they are not money spinners and thus are produced by a handful of producers, and thus we see fewer number of these movies. Since they lack entertainment factor, they are left behind by mediocre movies. But these kind of movies are the ones which really portray our society and thus should be watched and promoted by the masses. If such movies are given a preference, then our youth would have good role model to look up to from the cinema industry and would inculcate good etiquettes leading to a good generation of our young adults. Next part is about the impact on generation. That is, when we think about social impact, we come to understand how the social impact is important one on the generations. Movies are no more the source of entertainment, but they actually rule over the minds of the youth. The lifestyles, thinking patterns, ideas, and thoughts of the youth are now very much moved and altered by the movies of the Bollywood. And it is also not deniable that in the recent times, movies are no longer a source of entertainment, but they actually rule over the minds of the youth. The lifestyles, thinking patterns, ideas, and thoughts of the youth are now very much moved and changed by the Bollywood movies. Nor can it be denied that in recent times, Bollywood has begun to serve a different kind of cinema that has given rise to many unhealthy impulses among the youth. The character sometimes influences the audience in a negative way. He feels that it's fine to tease, hit, harass, and assault women. For most films, women are usually depicted as sexual objects and are never anything more than a second fiddle to a hero or item numbers. Social psychologist Craig Anderson found that even short term exposure to violent media dramatically raises the likelihood that children would participate in physical and verbal violence as well as hostile thoughts and emotions. It is for it is good for Indian cinema to portray the actors' creativity and to highlight the practical aspects of society and humanity, but it should also try to maintain a balance between what needs to be catered for and what should not be served to the audience. The young generation of the country should be directed in the right way, and they should be served with a cinema that excites their inner spirit, stimulates their great idea. If we think about the movies like Tere Naam and the style of Salman Khan, and on the other hand, if we think that Slumdog Millionaire and the role of that character who is become a millionaire from who is from a slum area. See, the next part is about the social impact of Bollywood on Indian culture. Movies are one of the most influential tools of communication, and society does learn a few things or get influenced to some extent through films. Bollywood films have been doing the same over the years, but in most cases, these films have simply mirrored the culture and shown what is going on in the society. Hindi cinema has been a major reference point for shaping Indian culture in this century. It has influenced the way people perceive things or behave in their own lives. The evolution of Bollywood since the first film Raja Harishchandra to the golden age of Bollywood to the more commercial masala films has been critical in influencing the mindsets of the society by reflecting the existing trends or creating new ones. The more commercial films were meant to create a fantastical image of a world. Everything right from the greater than life set pieces to the skin tone of the main cast became an important factor. The lead characters were no longer average looking people, they were fair and slim and beautiful. This has an impact on the audience, and soon, even they wanted to look like these actors on screen and also wanted to emulate their lifestyle. There is no doubt that certain Bollywood films influences viewers greatly. For example, the film Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara made a lot of people visit Spain, where the film was primarily shot. However, the fact is that more Indians belonging to the upper middle class now have more disposable incomes, and a lot of them are traveling abroad for holidays. So, Indians were already traveling before Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara was released, but the movie provided the people with an alternative where they could go. However, in terms of percentage, very few films focus on such themes. Films portray things like music, dance, traditions, architect of India, while other things such as globalization, modernization, India's strengths in certain areas have not been adequately displayed in films. Bollywood filmmakers have been focusing more on westernization of Indians, the liberations of women, Hindi Muslim, and other caste related problems. However, Indian filmmakers also face challenges when they try to depict various aspects of the Indian culture, including history of a place. Protests by various fundamentalist groups are common as they feel certain films are showing their culture in poor light. Most of the times, these protests are politically motivated as well. The fact is that and the focus on westernization in Bollywood films has played an important role in influencing Indian people on things like fashion and lifestyle and have also influenced their opinions on issues like drugs, violence, and sex. Youth of the India think that there is nothing wrong in taking drugs, uh, about the violence and the sex also. To the outside world, Indian films, especially Bollywood, does help create a perception about the country as a whole. But considering the diversity of India, it can be said that the formulaic Bollywood films never showed the culture diversity of India. Besides providing entertainment, cinema is also a powerful medium of information, education, and helps in opinion building on various social issues. So, certain movies can also leave a deep impression on the young minds. Thankfully, the Censor Board of India have been doing a good job for censoring content that could have a negative impact on the budding minds. The next part is about the influence of middle class society. In day to day life, we can understand how the significance of Bollywood movies is increasing, and the middle class society people also influenced by the Bollywood movies. Bollywood movies are an expression of art through media. They have aesthetic considerations of and portray everything within their 2 hour time slot from music, dance, drama to entertainment. The fashion portrayed in the movies makes its way into the culture of India, influencing the art and apparel from the depictions of Bollywood movies. They simply function as a way to tie together all forms of art into one form movies. Bollywood movies impact all age groups since they are versatile and each individual plot targets a certain audience. They are an expression that can be interpreted and impacted differently by youth, adults, and senior citizens. They are not of direct impact since it's an individual's choice if they wish to immerse themselves in Bollywood movies or not. It's a choice to watch, and with each person, the impact of the expression will also vary depending on how much they would like to dwell into the artistic sides of the movies. When looking at societal factors and how it in a balanced relationship of Bollywood affecting society and vice versa, the growth and change of the expression becomes quite prominent. At the beginning of Indian cinema, there weren't messages being conveyed to society and impacting mindsets through emotional drama. It was simply historical events being shown as entertainment, but through the necessary change over time, Bollywood influenced mindsets of people, and due to this, it grew as a business and made its way into the hearts of citizens of India. This timeline will explore the events from small to large that shaped Bollywood and changed its way of artistic expression of history to expressing important societal matters which need light shed on them. The timeline focuses on a few of the main questions, that is, what caused Bollywood to change its plot themes in relation to the time period? How does Bollywood influence middle class society in India? And in what ways culturally has the expression changed over the span of 100 years? So, here we can understand how the Bollywood impact on the middle class society and the middle class people following the Bollywood culture and the Bollywood cinemas and its music and its dance and all those things. So here we can understand how there is a impact of Bollywood on the society and the socio-political impact on the youth and the middle class society from the beginning of the uh, 1920s 1930s, the beginning of the Bollywood. From the movie like Alam Ara, we can understand how there is a again the World War II is also affecting the Bollywood, and there is an impact of the partition on the Bollywood. The movies like Gadar, Pinjar, and the one of the best famous movie that is based on the Bapsi Sidhwa's Ice Candy Man, that is Earth 1947. We can see the effect of the partition in that particular movie, and it shows the history, particular history happened with the India and Pakistan, how and how the common people suffered due to the partition. So here we can understand there is a throughout the year there is a Bollywood influenced a lot to the middle class society and the young generations of the society. So here we can stop for today. In the next lecture we learn about the next part of this.